Good morning. Denise Dryden here on Bainbridge Island. It's lovely, sunny, little crispy cold though, not quite really warm, but beautiful. Today I want to talk about this concept of a can of Coke. I think I've got some attention going on Facebook by the way I presented it, but it's an interesting concept and I've been playing around with it for about a week now, and I'm happy to bring it to you. And of course, for those of you who know me, I'm not going to drink Coca-Cola. Never drink Coca-Cola, but coconut LaCroix works just as well. Any kind of can that's carbonated, okay? So right now there are many things going on in the world, right? that have your attention. That could be physical, could be the beginning of summer, right? Could be the fact that vacation plans are coming on. Families are going, are you going to come out and see us this summer? We've got the end of school. We've got all sorts of escalating emotional, political stuff going on in our culture. Gas prices are going up. I don't know if you bought gas lately, but it's like, oh my God, what happened? What else is getting your attention? So I can make up some things and I can tap you on the shoulder, but what has your attention right now? What is grabbing you and going, oh, that's kind of bizarre, that's different, I don't remember that affecting me the same way. So when things get your attention, the question is, what do? Do you go like, well, wow, that kind of came out of nowhere, some emotional reaction, or some tapping on the shoulders, or some consistent like, hey, whether it's a child in your life, whether it's a coworker, whether it's a health issue, what do you do when things get your attention? So I had a couple of archetypes per se on what happens when we specifically have something getting our attention. So the person who, there's one kind of person who's going to, like bring them in, write it down, figure out what to do, make a plan, address it, and get it going, right? I see something coming, it needs to be handled, I'm going to bring it in, address it. I call them sort of the processors or the partner. I'm going to partner with whatever's coming my way, and I'm going to figure it out, and I'm going to put it into a context that I know how to work with it. The second kind of person is, I pay attention to it for a little bit. I play with it here, put it to the side, play with it here, put it to the side, and wait for another day or another time, right? I call them the teasers or the pacers or the managers, because sometimes, with kids, sometimes with a busy job, with a lot of activities in our life, we don't have the flexibility to be able to just sink in and deal with something in its entirety from beginning to end. The third one is the one who pushes it away, whether get it away from the outside, pushes it deep down inside, and then continues to go throughout the day thinking, that's out of sight, out of mind, don't have to deal with it. I like to call them the stuffers, or the avoiders, which is, don't want to deal with it. It's not, nope. So what is important to know is how you address these things, especially when zingers sort of come in from the side. So, whether we are managing or we are sort of pacing it or we're stuffing it, that's just one thing that has our attention. What happens when other zingers come in, whether they're financial, whether they're educational, like you just found out that your child failed 2 classes and you didn't know, and it's June, and now a bunch of issues are starting to come up. Emotional. You're starting to have reactions to certain people, certain things, certain places. Your emotions are stirred and you can't ignore them anymore. Physical. Could be physical ailments. When I moved in here, I dropped a wooden trivet on my foot, broke my little toe, and for 6 weeks now, it has affected my ability to hike, my ability to do yoga, my ability to wear my fashion shoes, and it's just, everything changed from a little tiny broken toe. Spiritual. Are people talking to you about the bigger context of the world? Is it a relationship or a family or, a partner issue? The thing to know is that when any of these come up and we stuff them down, they're going to show up in all of these areas. So whether I make this list and say, It could be just in the financial arena. My guess is that when one of these happens, it starts to affect all of those. And so when we have some reserves and we have some plans and we know that things are coming at us, we have the ability to be a little bit more rational, a little bit more paced on how we take care of it. If we don't have the ability, it gets kind of chaotic. So then we go into the can of Coke. Why are we talking about a can of Coke today? And let's make that can of Coke something that is definitely trying to get your attention. So, I've used this analogy a couple times in different podcasts, different videos on what happens when you're unpacking your car from camping or from a day trip or even from the store, and you miss a can of Coke and it's in the back of the trunk. It's in the trunk of your car, or it's in the back of like my SUV, and you forget about it. And occasionally, ever so often, something will roll around when you make a left turn and you're like, that's right. I got something back here that keeps rolling around. I got to go figure out what that is. And, you know, for those of you who drive pickup trucks, sometimes you just throw stuff in the back and it rattles around and it hits the side every once in a while. It was the pickup truck that gave me the best example of this can of Coke. So you forget about it, and now it's summer, and it's hot. It's not hot here in Washington yet, but it's going to get hot. In some of the areas in the south and on the east, it's already really warm. So that can of Coke starts to heat up, 90, 100 degrees, and it's rolling around in the back of the car, and it's not something that you want to deal with still. It's rolling around, it's been there for weeks, there's part of the paint is coming off, and it's sealed tight right now in the car. So what we know in a can of Coke is that it's a combination of water, sugar, carbonation, and flavoring. And that it's sealed really tight. And that absolutely nothing is going to pop that open unless it gets punctured or unless you pop it open. So it's sealed tight, and it's under a tremendous amount of pressure. Number one, when you roll it from side to side in a car, all of the carbonation gets stirred up, and when you add heat to it, it adds a little bit more pressure. Now you put that in a car in the winter and it freezes, we got something different. Okay? So we have the elements, the outside pressures, that are going to affect this sealed can. And it's going to take some attention and some strategy to address it when you finally find it. Like, oh my God, I've got a can that is explosive. I know this from the past. And I got to figure out how I'm going to address it. And based on my timing and my awareness of this, that can of Coke could turn into a huge mess. And it could also be something that I have to deal with in a very strategic way. But for those of you who are stuffers, this is going to be bad. Let's just say it out loud. This is going to be bad if you're a stuffer and you've been ignoring this, because it may affect you. Well, we already know if it pops in your car, it's going to be a mess. You know that it's been rolling around and it's been tapping on you on the shoulder, and you've let it go too long, and now it's really hot and messy. If you're going to pretend it's not there, it's going to keep rolling around and getting your attention. And here's the big one. It might randomly hit something that punctures it, and all of a sudden you're driving and there's this spray of Coke coming over your head into your car, sticky, hot mess on your windows, on your upholstery, all over the back of your trunk, all over everything you own. And it's going to take a much more focused time to deal with it. And my guess is when something like that happens, especially for stuffers, it's like, oh, you're not going to believe what happened. Poor me. And we go into a triggered victim, which is this just randomly happened to me, as opposed to this tap, 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 tap. So there's just a lesson in there, right? It's obvious that if we continue to ignore the things that are trying to get our attention, they're going to get bigger, they're going to get worse, and they're going to need more of our attention. Bottom line, bigger, worse, more of our attention. So I thought we would play with this a little bit. So if you discover a can of Coke in your car, it's hot, it's potentially explosive, right? You can pick it up and throw it away and let somebody else deal with it. Most people are like, yeah, so big deal. Or you could manage it, like put it in a cool space, give it a day or two to cool down, pop it open, pour it down the drain, and recycle it. You know, the manager kicks in. You can play with it. I mean, it's a great science experience. Experiment. Get your kids. Get your partner. Get some guys you're hanging out with. Make a wager. If I shake this up a little bit more and it's really hot, how far do you think it's going to shoot? Is it going to shoot out? Is it going to go up? How far is the diameter? And then, like, you could even make a wager as to how much soda might be in the bottom when you're done. So it's something that you can experiment with. It's something you can play with. The other one is, you know, you can prepare. You can prepare, which is, okay, I don't want to throw it away. I've got to empty it. And so I'm going to clear the area. I'm going to point it the other way. I'm going to let it do its thing. And then whatever's left, I'm going to put it in a glass, put some ice in it, and sit down and drink it. Because it's probably still good, right? So there's this whole sort of nonchalant, but very prepared. I know what's going to happen. I know what it's going to do. And I'm going to do that with intelligence and with responsivity, you know, responsiveness. And I'm going to manage it for myself, right? So this is about learning what happens when challenges come up. And this can of Coke in the summer is just a really good idea. If you ignore it, it gets bigger. And if you just throw it away, you miss the opportunity to play with it. So we know that when things are getting our attention, they're there to get our attention. So what I'm here to do today is sort of turn you back around and say, what happens when you give it your attention with playfulness or diligence or determination? And you go, what are you doing here? What can I do to address this? And what's in my best, highest interest from this point forward with this issue? So it doesn't explode in your car and become a really ooey gooey, sticky mess. So my name is Denise Dryden. You can find me on DeniseDrydenCoaching.com. And if this is something that you would like some assistance with or to explore, we can have a cup of tea over the phone and play with it. That's what we do. Or you can come to the island and play with it. The invitation's always here. So have a wonderful Sunday, and thank you for watching today. And let me know if you have any questions. Take care. Bye-bye.